we're here with Reasoning the US. I'm Lynette.
I'm Aramis.
I'm Emily.
I'm Shannon.
I'm Esther.
That's really kind of freaking all of us out a little bit is the recent release of the study that said that there may be a contribution of high fructose corn syrups, artificial sweeteners, to the increase in dementia and Alzheimer's in America. So what do you guys think about this? And food in general, I mean, we've added so much to food, and there's consequences for this. And sometimes it's good, because now we can feed more people, and but there's also a detriment to that too. So what are your thoughts on that? Soda drinkers?
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
From time to time.
I'm a recreational
once a year.
I'm a recreational soda drinker. Yeah. Like what?
Sometimes you get a hankering.
Yeah, sometimes you just, I limit myself to ginger ale, okay? I limit myself to ginger ale because when I fly, I get nauseous and it's good for
I always drink like ginger ale when I'm upset or something.
And occasionally like I'll have whatever. But what do you guys think about the idea of these additives in foods and what that's doing? And do you think this trend to shift that back is actually going to work?
I do. I think that this new generation is going healthy, and we're going to see a lot of the fast food industry maybe, changing their menus to be more healthy. And, McDonald's tells you the calories and everything, and they're making some changes. And I know Subway is making some changes to their bread. So I think that this generation's going to really, make a change.
Get back to
Yes.
I think we're disenfranchised by not being in a city, because I know a lot of people who are in a city that they have like drive-through like salad places, and they just have so many like healthier options, and they could get these healthier options delivered at midnight.
Yes.
And all these places are open so late, so they don't have to drive through McDonald's at 2 in the morning to get a cheeseburger. They have so many more options. So I think living rurally, we kind of
That's true, because even towns around like close to here, they don't have a grocery store in their actual town. So then people have to pay to go on buses, or if they don't have cars, how are they going to get food? And that's a really good point about the rural. And it's weird because the rural areas are the places that make the food. So like they produce it, and then they don't have like access to grocery stores that have substantial food. And it's not like just a Family Dollar.
And also too, if you're only shopping once a week, you gotta have stuff that lasts. Produce doesn't last.
Right.
Even if you buy the best stuff, it doesn't last. So you've got to get. So you do tend to buy stuff with more preservatives in it.
Plus, I think the people who are financially more stable have the money too. Like people who are on food stamps are looking for how much can they feed their family for, so they'll buy 6 boxes of macaroni to go with every dinner instead of making homemade potatoes or a side salad or something like that, because like you said, it lasts and it's cheaper.
And we're always on the run. We're always in a hurry. So I think that it being so easy is what gets us. Oh, we could just throw that in and throw that in, and it's done. We have a meal. So just our lifestyle being always on the go, taking the kids here, going to work, So I think that's...
Because like if you're like just coming home from like a long day at work, you're not going to want to drive 20 minutes to like a grocery store and then have to cook. You're going to go, 2 minutes down the road to White Castle. And like,
Throw a pizza.
The burger that keeps giving.
Absolutely.
It is true. Now, I'm sorry, I'm a huge fan of pizza. I don't care. I will sacrifice people for a pizza, okay, straight up. But it is a whole lot easier for me because, I can go once a week and I can get whatever, or I can stop in the middle of the week and get whatever. But I think that rural is a big issue. And both of you brought up really good points. When you're rural, it's a much bigger effort to get into town, so you buy for a week. And that is the place where you're making the food, or you have the opportunity to do this. So it becomes very frustrating when you're not in an urban setting that, oh God, I hate grocery shopping so bad, I have to go do this. It's 20 minutes away. What would be the difference if you had like a little restaurant, like or not a restaurant, I'm sorry, a little grocery store, Tesco in England.
Yeah.
You know, some of those, they have like Tesco Express, and they're tiny little grocery stores, but you can go in and get exactly what you need. You know, in America, we don't do that because everything is big. And and that's fine because we have the space for it, but it brings forth a different kind of issue, is over choice, over consumption, and you know that leads to a whole lot of problems itself.
Yeah.
Going back to mac and cheese, you have 8 different options when you walk into the store just for mac and cheese.
Yes.
It cracks me up when I look at that. I'm just like, why do you need so many different options? They're almost all the same.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because we like promote in America the need to like start your own business in competition? It was so capitalistic that we have all these options, but then it comes to a point where what are we actually eating? And who's actually monitoring our food? Because the FDA has a lot of issues with it, and they like let things go through.
Absolutely. Right.
So it's really the government is the people who are in charge of what we actually are consuming every day. So but then they don't want to regulate like this should only be like 2 macaroni and cheese types. But then but then it's like if the macaroni and cheese they are giving us is like cruddy, and then we don't have like an Amy's choice to get.
Yeah.
So
and the market can sustain 8 different types of macaroni and cheese. You know, would it be different? Because your generation is going to face this more than any other generation. If you reduce the amount of choices, do you think people would actually have a conniption fit over it, or they're like, okay, I'll just take this?
To be fair, I sort of like to have a lot of choices.
See, it's an issue.
I do like choices because if you only have Kraft, I'm not gonna buy that.
No.
I'm gonna go get the Amy's over the Kraft because it's it's healthier. It's more natural ingredients in there.
Okay.
So
the point that what's going to have to happen is that the Amy's is going to have to take over the junky food at that point for people to start caring more, and then at that point that price needs to come down to where most people can buy it.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's a big issue, especially with most Americans in food. Again, they're buying, let's face it, it's crappy food, but it's it's what's going to get us through 5 days before we get paid again. And the good food is more expensive. For instance, Whole Food, they're very selective about the areas where they will come into because the economy of that area has to be able to sustain the higher prices of what they have. Now, they have really good stuff, but you're not going to have somebody who is living basically in poverty going to Whole Foods. No. They're going to go to, convenience stores like Aldi or Walmart or something like that where they can get more for their money.
Actually, I believe that you can use food stamps at Whole Foods.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure you can.
Okay, that's what we'll check into that.
Yeah. But are people doing that? I don't.
Probably not,
think
because
so.
the people who are
because they won't get much.
Yeah, they need that to
spread.
spread.
To spread that out. And also, you think about it, if you're in the poverty level, you're going to go again. You're going to go to Walmart. You're going to go to Aldi.
Family members mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is frustrating. I think that, and you can study this in economics. The more choices you have, the less stable the choices that people make are, because you're just overwhelmed. And I kind of wonder, if that has led to some of, allowances for big corporations to. And I'm not blaming them. It's not a situation of, oh, you're evil, but it has allowed them to make things like high fructose corn syrup without long-term studies as to what's going on. But boy, we can produce lots of stuff that way, and we can get it out there on the market.
I watched a documentary in sociology class, and the people who make Oreos, they would bring a boat into like these places where they don't have like these convenience stores, and these people would just line up and go in and grab like handfuls of like chocolate and like Oreos, because they would make it be like, oh well, we're coming like once a month, and Mexico has a high diabetes rate, so they would go in and they would just take out carts and Oreos and all this stuff, because they were making it so selective that they were like, oh, I have to have this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The scarcity, and so it increases the demand for it. That's crazy. That's really crazy. But that does. And you think about it. I mean, when you start looking at the labels in food, you know, you wonder about, okay, so we've got all these preservatives, and then we have high fructose corn syrup. And it's amazing. I started looking at just what's in my cabinet, what's high fructose corn syrup. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, I really am getting snotty about looking at labels. It scares me, you know?
Well, I know because in like, I think it's like 2007, my dad like started seeing about stuff about high fructose corn syrup, so we like cut that out of our diet and stuff, and like the only thing we have left is like syrup to put on pancakes, because the consistency, we're so used to that consistency of the syrup that if you try to like do maple syrup, it's too thin. So then it's like, how do we get these alternatives to this high fructose corn, the high fructose corn syrup? So it's so.
Oh, that's interesting. You know, because I didn't think about, you know, think about the number of people that are addicted to Mountain Dew. You know, or to any, you know, soda product or whatever, and it's loaded with high fructose corn syrup. I'm like, oh.
Yet again, it's cheap.
It's
a lot of options.
Yep. It's cheaper than sugars. Yeah.
I think that sometimes when I'm just sitting back thinking, I think, you know, the government, you know, allows the FDA allows these ingredients into our food, and then a lot of these ingredients cause health issues, and so we're finding more people you know, going to the doctor, ending up with dementia, all these things, and then the pharmaceutical are the big...
The saving grace.
And so it's all about money, I think. Sometimes I think about it. So, you know, we're just consuming all these things with all these preservatives, and we don't know what we're eating, and the government probably does know what is harmful to us, and you know, we're finding more and more people, you know, like I said, when I was growing up, you know, grandmas got old and they didn't die of all these other, you know, that we're seeing all the time. You never heard of dementia back then. I mean, you didn't know anybody that had it, and now almost everybody has it. When they're not everybody, but you know,
you hear more.
You hear more.
And part of that is media coverage, of course. But it just makes you wonder, you know, kind of down the line. And you've probably seen this in the news too, since we're talking about this as food, that the average American has stopped exercising. And they think the trend is because we've now got to the point where, you know, the healthy size, whatever that size may be, isn't the standard anymore. People, you know, are usually a little bit larger in size. And, you know, for me, I mean, I inherited a lot of that stuff, and a lot of it I've made bad choices in food because I love my pizza. Oh, God, yeah. And, you know, and you love food, and that's okay. But I'm wondering, too, what do you think about the fact that you can, like in my case, I can be the weight that I am, but my, I guess, biometric numbers are extremely good. You know, and so people are like, okay, well, what's the new standard then when it comes to health? And so the reason, let me take that back to what we're talking about with let's say the crappy food craze that we're kind of all stuck in, you know, is it truly that's what's led to the obesity, or is it a combination of foods and on the go all the time, so we need quick, you know, people are living in poverty. I mean, do you think it's more than just one thing, or it has to be, you know, a huge collection of things? What do you guys think about that?
I think it's the fast food industry.
Okay. Now, you're not just saying like drive-through McDonald's. You're talking about like all fast foods.
All fast
like
food.
Oreos and cookies. Anything you can do quickly.
Anything, yeah. I think it's that. And I think our weight is really important just hearing a couple of people talk about how when the doctor says, hey, you have to, you know, lose weight, they lose weight and they're off 3 of their medications.
Sure.
So not enough exercise, we're always on the go, we're eating all this fast food, and I think that has a lot to do with it. And we're not educating ourselves.
That's true.
You know, on what we're eating. I think that makes a big, you know, difference. When I saw that video, I looked at bread in a whole different way when it talked about the bread and the ingredient that some countries don't even allow in their bread. So that made me look at, once I was educated on these products, I didn't want to eat them because I knew what they were doing. So.
Well, we used to make bread, with
That's
instant
right.
water and stuff.
That's
We didn't go
right.
to the store and grab it.
That's right. All our food, our moms, cooked from scratch.
Well, as she said, it's the processed food that's really killing people because, well, killing people is a metaphor. So it's because, like, if you look at the Romans, they had harder, not as crushed bread and stuff, so then they had a more healthier lifestyle because there wasn't like all these refined sugars and refined grain. It was more of these hearty things that made our digestive systems work harder to do things rather than us just going right through our systems and then collecting as fat.
Absolutely.
And I do think it comes down to time because, if I do, I will make, my own bread sometimes. My mom will. And it is so delicious. It is so good. But the time it takes to do it. Because if I could choose to eat that every day with the sandwich or dinner, I would choose it. But the hours it goes into making it isn't there.
I don't have the extra hours.
Right.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say, okay, so it's more of a question. So if they made all of these fresh vegetables last longer on the shelves via genetic modification, do you think that's a better thing or a worse thing?
Well,
it's tough.
Yeah. Well, it's like I think some of them, they really do have some for like apples, so apples don't bruise.
Yeah.
So, but then we don't know the long-term effects of that either.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Like they're irradiated.
Yeah, that's why we have like, there's the organic people, and then there's like the people who just eat the produce that's a little bit cheaper.
And that's the issue. That's a finance issue because produce is not cheap. Oh my gosh, it is not cheap. And where we live at, you only get like 2 seasons of produce. The rest of it's going to have to be imported from somewhere else. Then you have all these other factors with that. It becomes complicated.
And then even the importing food, then there's a whole thing about the environment and how that affects that. Because even, it's going to be random, but even like the Trump trying to build this Mexico wall, then we won't get the imports from Mexico because a lot of people who like the avocados, they all come from Mexico. So then how are we going to get up the things that the actual America likes when we have a separation between the countries?
Yeah, it becomes really a hairy situation.
Yeah.
You really start looking at it. That's a good question. Very good question.
So, another thing I read was that now when people get together, food is always the center. Oh, let's go have lunch. More people are...
Yeah, with my friend tonight, she was like, you want to go dinner and a drink? And it's like, that's our hangout.
When people get together, it's around food. It's always around food, so...
And I think that's the way it is. But I think that, I love the fact that your generation is becoming very aware of it. Part of it, your generation are some of the first ones to go back to, I want to like do some gardening on my own. I may not be great at it, but I want to do some gardening. And I'll have all the zucchinis. Zucchinis forever. But also, and I think about this in connecting it to lifestyle changes. Millennials are very good at minimizing. What do I really need? Do I need all this extra crap? Do I need all these additives? I'm very aware of what's going on. I'm not going to do that because it could be dangerous. And to use this as an analogy, is the tiny house movement. Let's skim it down to what we really need. And so I see this kind of in the food. The millennials tend to be, you guys are much cleaner eaters. And every time I go into New York and Manhattan, which is predominantly a youth part of the city, I'm sorry, it's crazy. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a lot of young people, and they're going for, things that are made right then and there, and there's salad bar, that's, a restaurant chain. I mean...
Yeah, it's the urban again. You can go down and there's, a bakery where you can buy that fresh bread and bagels and everything you need right on your corner, pretty much.
And it's so hard to do that here.
I know with me, I sort of think that, like, most of the, like, healthier options, they look cooler. I mean, like, as far as branding goes, they look cooler, so I'll most likely buy them over,
Okay, so the aesthetic is better.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know if
well, they're trying to get that bigger part of the market, so they have to make it, pleasing to the eye. Yeah. That's a good point,
It's almost like cool to be sort of like all natural.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good thing.
And
peer
even
pressure.
like with companies like that, and on the packaging they say like this is recycled packaging and stuff. So it's like, okay, well we're doing something good for the environment as well as for ourselves. So
Right.
it's,
Yeah.
the kind
I'm
of
more
like,
likely to buy something that says that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I buy like this. It's called Charity by Argo. It's
Oh.
like 3 something, but they donate like 10% back.
Oh, that's cool.
So
Anything
I
else,
always, so I always reach for that, even though it's more expensive than the Snapple, but it looks cool.
You're
It's
supporting.
donating.
You're supporting.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and maybe that's what it needs. Is it, you know, to be the healthier, to be the better food, to be, you know, the real, to make it cool. You know, maybe some peer pressure. In this case, maybe not such a bad idea.
Yeah.
Eat green. You know.
Yeah.
That's
Even
good.
going back to the options, you know, I've had Kraft macaroni and cheese a million times. I'm more likely to get something that's new. You know,
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Boredom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, and there's a lot of health food stores that are popping up in our area, and so you know I try and go get a lot of those, and they actually have some convenience foods that are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think that you know that market in and of itself is changing, but again I think that millennials are more worried about what the government is allowing in food, and you know they're
Right.
reading the labels and they're like, hey man, I'm about the environment. I got to make sure I got
Right.
some place to live in 20 years,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So I think that is, you know, that's really, in a simple way, putting a political stamp on something. This is what I'm going to tolerate. This is what I won't
Right.
tolerate. All right.